Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
How we doing? Welcome in. It is the Thursday edition. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Hughes over there, other side of the glass as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tomorrow's going to be a jam-packed show, as always, right? Football Friday, got fantasy football, follow the money with Austin Herdenia, Ryan Wood at the Green Bay Press-Gazette, working on getting ourselves an eye on the enemy to look ahead to Packers and Broncos tomorrow as well. We're going to getting our guy Mike Evans from the Fan of Detroit back on, morning show guy out there, so we'll see if we're able to make that happen tomorrow. Today, one guest, but it's a good one. I mean, a really good one. I mean, it's a Hall of Famer. Pat Hughes, Cubs play-by-play radio announcer, former Brewers play-by-play radio announcer from baseballvoices.com. Has all these great discs out there on different things. One, of course, is including Bob Uecker, a whole disc on Bob Uecker. Perfect if you're looking to buy stuff for the holidays, if you have a big Brewers fan in your family or whatever the case may be. So we'll talk to Pat Hughes about that, talk to him about the trader and the Cubs. We'll talk about the Brewers and going into the offseason, how the season ended, all that good stuff. I love Pat Hughes. I could talk to Pat Hughes for 3 hours. I don't even need anything, just me and Pat. Let's go.
And I wore my Cubs shirt today, which is on accident. Wasn't even on purpose. I think it was meant to be, Sparky.
What do you mean? Oh, you didn't. Well, you didn't know we were having a
Yeah, I
when
didn't.
You
You didn't say it. You didn't say it till you walked in. Till I walked in.
Yeah. So nice. So looking forward to talking to Pat Hughes at 3:00. Looking forward to that. Of course, Charlie Sounds of that Green and Gold update. We'll have some Matt LaFleur. Speaking of Matt LaFleur, we'll get you one right off the bat here. Matt LaFleur earlier today talking about Josh Jacobs not practicing again.
I mean, he's been battling through it, so and then more than likely he will not be out there today either. So we'll see how he's feeling tomorrow and then kind of go from there.
If he's not practicing, is there a little bit of concern for Sunday?
I think anytime the guy doesn't practice, there's always concern. So we'll see. He's been battling through. It's not. I mean, he is doing everything in his power to get ready to go.
So there's Matt LaFleur talking about Josh Jacobs not practicing today, didn't practice yesterday, and now tomorrow we'll see if he goes out there and practices. And I hearken back to years past. I understand this training staff is different than it was back in the day. But back in the day, Charles Woodson wouldn't practice. Favre wouldn't practice. Bakhtiari may not practice. Right? I mean, there are a lot of vets that over the course of time maybe didn't practice during the week, but was always ready to go on a Sunday, even though they didn't practice all week. Time to play? Let's go. I'm there. So even if, in my opinion, now, who knows how this thing works now? I mean, if you hear Matt LaFleur talk about it anytime, hey, Charlie, how you feel? I got a big old thing growing out of my knee, but I can go, coach. All right, man, sounds good. Let's go.
Every time, baby, without fail. Doesn't matter who it is.
Does not matter. They say they can play. They're playing. We're good. Go ahead. Go give it a shot, man. Let's see what happens. So I'm guessing Jacobs will play. I guess I would find it hard to believe not. Now, the one angle to this where he doesn't play would be this is not a conference game. This is not a division game. Need to have Josh Jacobs for the Bears game. So maybe you look at it from that perspective. This is the only problem. If this was September, I bet you he doesn't play. But because we only have 4 games to go in the football season right now, and because this race is so tight in the NFC, I mean, look at the Bears. They went from number 1 to number 7, and now possibly could miss the playoffs altogether, depending on what happens. That's how close it is for you being in and winning the division, maybe being the 1 seed, to being all the way out. Every game is so important. So while I would understand if they said, we're just going to make sure he's ready for the Bears game, we're going to try and win this division. Okay, I understand. But if he comes back and you lose that game, now all of a sudden you've lost 2 in a row with 2 to go, you might be on the outside looking in at the playoff picture. You really, if anybody can play at this point in this Denver game, I think you kind of got to try and see if they can go out there and how long you can get them to go out there, because you are in a position where you pretty much got to go at least 3-1 on the way out here to feel comfortable about being in the playoffs. There's going to be a 10-win team, I think, that's not going to get in.
That's what it looks like right now. I mean, the Detroit Lions are 8-5, and a lot of people are just rooting for them to lose this week because it'll knock them out of playoff. That's crazy to think that'll knock them out of playoff contention. That's a team that has run the NFC for the past 2 years. And you talk about the Bears being in that position. I mean, the Packers, if they lose this week and the Bears win this week, are flip-flop positions once again.
So if they miss the playoffs, does Dan Campbell take the Michigan job?
Oh, that'd be crazy. I saw people talking about Matt LaFleur growing up right outside of Michigan.
He's not leaving an NFL gig, man. Get out of here.
But in a situation like this, it's just so tight. The Rams, if they lose this week, the Bears can jump ahead of them in that standings. Like, this is a situation where nobody is safe. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I think even earlier on in the season, if this were replaced with like the Dallas game in week 4 and it was right there, it was already really competitive league at that point. You had just lost to the Cleveland Browns.
But you're not thinking at the end of the year at that point. You're thinking about just, where do I really need him right now? Let's just make sure he's ready to go at the end of the year. Because in week 4, I think as a Packer fan, you would already beat Washington. You'd already beat Detroit. You would stub your toe against Cleveland. Fine. But at that point, if you would have asked any Packer fan or any player in that locker room or any front office exec, they all would say, yeah, we're a playoff team, of course. It doesn't matter if he plays this week. We'll be fine. Like, that would be the response. But now, because you're so far into this thing and now you see how tight it is and the slippery slope in which everybody is on right now I think it changes your view of, okay, I think if you can play, we got to have you. And the other part about this is, Denver's top 5 rush defense, top 3 rush defense. So it's a really good run defense. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, we have a question. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to it. Maybe we won't. We're just having a conversation. But the other part about this is, I kind of really like Chris Brooks back there in pass situations, right? To be that guy that's going to step up. So if Jacobs doesn't play on obvious passing downs, that's a little additional rest to keep him on the sideline. So maybe Jacobs is getting the ball on first or second down. Maybe he's not playing back-to-back plays. Maybe he only gets 10 or 12 carries, and then Wilson gets 10 or 12 carries, and then Brooks is in there in other spots. I think you could get him through the game without having to give him the ball 25 times and still have somewhat effectiveness from him.
I guess I would feel confident that if I didn't think third down was probably going to be extremely important in this game, and if Chris Brooks is the guy that's going to be out there on third down, I don't know if I feel as confident in the offense, even if he is probably a slightly better receiving back than a Josh Jacobs. This is a situation where the Packers have the best third down offense in the entire NFL, and the Broncos have the best third down defense in the entire NFL. So the game is going to be won in that style of play. And I think this is a situation where if you're going to have Josh Jacobs play in this game at all, he needs to be on the field for all 3 downs of any given drive like that, because it is so important to win third down in a game like this.
The thing about third down conversion and being number 1 against third down conversion. So my take, I haven't gone and looked at Denver's numbers. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But when you tell me you're number 1 in third down defense, do you know what I'm going to say? I bet you third down and distance, you're probably number 1 there too, where it's 3rd and 7 regularly or 3rd and 8 regularly in those situations. That's what allows you to be as good as you are, because other teams are constantly fighting for short yardage that they're not consistently stopping 3rd and 2 every week is my guess. My guess is it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. And guys aren't being able to convert those throws when they need them. That would be my guess of how they're number 1. That then transitions to the importance of Josh Jacobs, because you want to be able to get those first 3, 4, 5 yards on first down to put yourself in a position of, if you want to take a chunk shot on second down downfield and still be in a 3rd or 4 or 3rd and 5 situation, which is still manageable. I can still run. I can still pass. I can do jet sweep. I can do whatever I want. What you don't want to have happen is consistently being 2nd and 10, 3rd and 8. Got to stay out of those scenarios, because once you get into that, what happens? The leading team in the NFL and sacking the quarterback now gets to pin their ears back and come for Jordan Love because it's 3rd and long. That's what you have to stay out of in this game.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where, like, the Denver Broncos have a 30% opponent completion percentage on third down or overall success rate on third down. That's insane. So I don't think it really matters where on the field you are in this situation. I think it is just about winning third down, even if it is winning those long third downs. I get it. You want Josh Jacobs to be that focal point of that offense for those first 2 drives, again, to kind of draw them into that lull for that third play of that certain line of scrimmage there. But at the same time, this Denver Broncos team isn't going to falter no matter what, no matter if Josh Jacobs is out there or not. They're a team that's going to be extremely tough. And in my mind, then that means just have Josh Jacobs out there if he's ready to play. If you're going to play in this game, you have to be fully ready to go. And I know we listen to Matt LaFleur, and he talks about how keeping these guys on the field is partially their decision too, as well. But at the same time, if this player feels like he's ready to go, if he feels like he's not injured, he's just hurt, then he has to be out there and playing fully and not being given the baby treatment like we've seen with some other players on this team.
Who's gotten the baby treatment?
I mean, I feel like to some degree Matthew Golden has over the past couple of weeks.
No, he's been ignored. You think he's gotten the baby? You think he could have played and they chose to keep him out?
I think so for part of this, yeah.
All right. Do you think this Packers team is good enough to beat the Broncos on Sunday without Josh Jacobs if Josh Jacobs doesn't play? Are they good enough to overcome not having Jacobs in this game and still beat a very difficult defense to play and the Denver Broncos? Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials, WI Sports Radio, live stream us, X and YouTube at WI Sports Radio. We broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you here, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. I will say I have my doubts on this one. I'm not as confident they win this game without Josh Jacobs. And I understand there's a lot of people out there that love Wilson. Tommy Wirtz loves Wilson, like #1 fan in the fan club. And maybe he will be that guy. What gives me some hope in this is that right side of the line has been blocking better and better since they put Belton in at right guard. I have no faith in running to the left side. Zero, zilch, nada. Go left and get smoked. Right side, I have a lot of faith that you can get 3 yards here, 4 yards here, maybe break one for 10 or 12 with a hole. Belton and Tom and even Ryan helping to that side at the center position. I feel much better in that situation. But going into this with just Wilson and Brooks, I don't know, man. Like I struggle to see how this offense gets going to the same way without Josh Jacobs. You can say whatever you want about Jacobs. Oh, he's a half a step slower than he was and so forth. Right. But his ability to break tackles, to me, is what makes him good, right? He may not have a lot of 20-yard runs this year and so forth, but he's also encountering guys behind the line of scrimmage on a consistent basis where he's having to make somebody miss or having to run through an arm tackle or whatever. That, I think, is a key attribute in this whole thing.
I mean, that's what Emmanuel Wilson did best against the Vikings when he started in that game, though. When he was hit at the line of scrimmage, which was a lot during that game, if you remember, he fought through it and was able to find tough yards. This is a situation where I think he can step up, and he's learned a lot from a Josh Jacobs during his time being back there for the past year and a half behind Josh Jacobs. This is a situation where I think you can go out there and feel confident in a guy like Emmanuel Wilson if you do need him to play. Again, if Josh Jacobs doesn't feel like he's ready to go in this game, don't play him. But if he feels like he's ready to go, then yeah, go out and play him. I don't think the Packers game plan should change all that much.
I'm seeing in the Dugout YouTube chat. It's called Emmanuel Wilson Spark. Yeah, I get it. I understand. I get it. I feel like this fan base might be a little delusional on this dude. If we're being honest, I think we might be a little I feel like there are some fans that look at him and go, he can do just as good as Josh Jacobs. He might be better than Josh Jacobs. Like, I'm fine if Emmanuel Wilson's that guy without Josh Jacobs. I feel like there's a lot of that. Maybe you're right. I don't think you are, but maybe you're right. Maybe he could go be a starting running back in Denver and put up big numbers. Maybe he could go be a starting running back in Cleveland or Kansas City or elsewhere around the league and put up numbers. And the Packers are ignorant to the fact of just how good this kid is. I understand in certain situations, you've seen flashes of like, whoo, okay. You see a little something. That burst seems to be there more than it is with Josh Jacobs a lot of times. But as LaFleur just said, he's been dealing with crap all year long, trying to play through injury. So I think that's part of it. His ability to run through tackles, make people miss, all that. Is it as good as Josh Jacobs?
No, probably not.
I don't think it is.
But also at the same time, I don't feel lost when he's out there instead of a Josh Jacobs, I guess. Kind of in the same way that a lot of Packers fans don't feel lost when Malik Willis is out there instead of a Jordan Love in situations where Malik Willis has to go out there. First of all, I think that says a lot about Matt LaFleur and his offense and what he's able to do, and that no matter who's out there feels comfortable and is able to make plays. But also at the same time, I don't know if it's that people feel like he's better than Josh Jacobs more so than they just feel comfortable that he's the backup and that he's the person you can go to. And if there's a situation where Josh Jacobs needs to be kept healthy for the playoffs, then we deal with that now by letting Emmanuel Wilson play one game.
Nikolay Lautaka text line asking, do you think the Packers are good enough to beat this Broncos team without Josh Jacobs if he does not play? Did not practice yesterday, did not practice today. LaFleur, as we played earlier, said that he's doing the best he can to try and get out there and play. So do you think they're good enough to still win that game? Nikolay Lautaka text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. JP uses the talk text line, says Reed and Savion are back. Wilson and the crew can get it done. Now, that is another angle to which, I'll be honest, I didn't think about. Because now if you have Reed back and maybe you're using that jet sweep and doing that, that is like a rushing attempt. If Savion Williams is now back and you're using him out of the backfield or doing different stuff with him and getting creative with both those guys, getting their turns, getting 2 or 3 rushes in the game to keep the defense honest or whatever, that probably will play somewhat of a role in this. Obviously, you can't give the ball to either one of those guys 10 times in a game, but maybe they each get 3 carries, 2 or 3 carries in a game, and maybe there is something there. Maybe you get an explosive play out of one of those guys.
Maybe, but I think this is also a situation if Josh Jacobs doesn't play and Emmanuel Wilson is out there. I mean, that's kind of obvious that you're going to try that, isn't it? I feel like you watched the Packers defense against the Bears last week.
Nothing is obvious.
I mean, you watched the Packers defense against the Bears last week when they were expecting them to run the ball a ton. They just brought everybody up the middle and said, you know what, when they do those little end arounds, we're just going to be right there for that too. I feel like the Denver's defense is good enough to say that too. We feel like you're going to try to run the ball no matter what, try to run these play actions no matter what. These end arounds aren't going to work because we're going to have 2 defensive tackles right in the gap. And the second thing is kind of what you brought up. You can't give them the ball all that much. Both those guys have been injury prone so far. If they get hurt in a situation where it's getting crushed in the backfield, then you're back to not having one of those guys and your playbook slimming down once again.
I don't think you could change your playbook one way or the other on this. Like if you want to run jet sweeps with Reed and whatever else, you can't be thinking about, well, what if he gets hurt? What if somebody takes him out in the back? You can't run an offense like that. I mean, that would be like saying, hey, I know Caleb Williams has a horrible completion percentage, so we're just not going to throw the ball that much anymore. We're just going to kind of focus on the run. We're going to have him throw the ball, 15 to 20 times a game and kind of take the ball out of his hands. You could do that. It very well may work. You may win a lot of football games, but coaches just don't think that way. I don't think coaches don't ever think of what could go wrong. They always think of what should go right and what will go right when they do it, because there is that ego and that confidence. And if you're not coaching that way, then your team's screwed anyhow. If the coach has lost confidence, it's all done.
Well, but also at the same time, I don't think you can fully put yourself out of that realm of what might go wrong. If you do that, and you get in situations where we saw Matt LaFleur earlier in the season in the past, where things are going wrong and he kind of freaks out and just goes back to going to the basics, and it leads to uninteresting offense that doesn't help you win football games at that point. I think, yes, you mostly have to look at the future and talk about what's going to go right, but at the same time, you have to have a game plan for if things go wrong too.
Charlie using over there, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer over here. I got another text from JP after we talked about his first one. He said, we need that change of pace back. Can he please get on the field? I don't know who you're talking about. Take a quick time out. Come back. We are going to talk about all of this noise around Giannis. Listen, before you change your dial in Wausau or Green Bay or Appleton or Milwaukee or wherever you're listening, Duluth, wherever you might be listening, before you go, more Giannis stuff. Ugh. No, don't do that. I am going to do something that I used to do back in the day. I used to have a midday show years and years ago, like 2006, whatever it was. And we used to do To the Corner Thursdays on this show back in the day. And To the Corner Thursday was, we would take one segment and it would be calls only, right? And you could call in and vote for what you wanted banned from the show till the next Thursday, right? So it could be like, oh, this Brett Favre crap. I don't want to talk about Brett Favre. So we'd ban it for a week and we won't talk about Brett Favre. People would call in and ban callers of, dude, this guy or this girl, whoever calls in every day, I'm done. And they would ban a caller for a week from the show. That they couldn't call in all week and they'd have to wait to the next week. It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to do that necessarily, but I do want to know from you, the person who listens to this show. We're all part of one big happy family, right? That's what this is all about. I want to know what you want, because there's more Giannis stuff, and I'm going to play it, but I want to know from you, how do you want this show to approach Giannis news going forward? Like, are you in the perspective of, Sparky, don't talk about it until like he officially asks for a trade or they're in trade negotiations with somebody, right? Then you could bring it back up. But other than that, can you please be the show that just doesn't talk about all this nonsense going on with Giannis? Maybe that's your perspective. Maybe your perspective is, man, Sparky, you keep it real, man. Just you keep talking about Giannis whenever you want to talk about Giannis. I'm all for it. Maybe that's your perspective. I want to know how you want this show to deal with all this Giannis stuff. Seemingly every day there's new stuff, like every day. So how do you want us to deal with it on this show? Like that running back that JP brought up that will not be meant for reference on this show until he actually plays a full game. I made that decision that we're just not going to talk about that person. So you can have your say here on Giannis. Let me know. Nicolay Law Talk Text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. It's that time of year, the sing-songy family gathering baked goodsy season. You realize my 3-year-old makes me play Jingle Bells by Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Minnie every day, at least 2 or 3 times a day on my phone.
And that is your fault and your fault only. Sparky.
Every day I play.
That is your fault only.
Every day she wants to play the jingle song. Play the jingle song. Play the jingle song. Play it all the time. And Wendy's went and made the frosty of your holiday dreams. It's a Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion. Say it with me. Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion. Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion. Made with swirls of sweet, gooey Snickerdoodle sauce and chunks of cinnamony Snickerdoodle cookies. It's full-on cookie nostalgia. So preheat those mouth ovens because the Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion is here. Seriously delicious. The iconic Frosty mixed with sweet Snickerdoodle cookies. It's got to be Wendy's. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Hughes in here as well. Hope y'all are doing well here on a Thursday. Still to come, Pat Hughes, voice of the Chicago Cubs, former voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, worked with Bob Uecker for obviously years, play-by-play announcer. His website, baseballvoices.com, has all kinds of cool Christmas presents that you can get for your kids, significant others, friends, co-workers, family members. So we'll talk with more about him on baseballvoices.com and specifically the one on Bob Uecker coming up here at 3 o'clock. So more Giannis news last night. And the question is going to be this. What do you want this show? Wisconsin Sports Daily. This is not for 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. This does not pertain to the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thundernell presented by Verizon. This does not include Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor Thomas and Josh Albrecht. None of their shows are in this. Just this show right here. What do you want this show to do with Giannis news moving forward? Ignore it? Continue to talk about it every day whenever there's something new and out there to talk about? How would you like us to go about this? Because if you want a Giannis-free show, a Giannis-free space, I am offering it to you. You have to understand, I'm a gigantic Bucks fan. Gigantic. Did post-game shows for like 15 years, all that stuff. So, huge Bucks fans. So, would I prefer to talk Giannis and the Bucks? Sure. Am I sick of talking about Giannis? Yes. I am. Really sick of it. But I am more than happy to continue to do this if you all want it. But if there are people listening around the state, WNFL, 99.7 FM in Green Bay and Appleton, or 93.9 The Game in Wausau, or 710 The Game in Duluth and Superior, or 1250 AM or 105.7 FM The Fan in Milwaukee and southeastern Wisconsin, if the majority of you are like, dude, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to hear any more about this until something actually happens. That's cool. We can play it that way if you'd like to. I'm open to it. What other shows do you know of that would offer this up, Charlie?
Nobody else, Sparky. You're the only one crazy enough.
Nobody else is going to offer this up to their fans and be like, hey, you don't want to hear this anymore? You're sick of listening to it? Cool. We'll just move on. I got plenty of Packers stuff we can talk about. A Badgers basketball team.
I was going to say, is talking Wisconsin better at all right now?
Guard went off on that team last night. You want to play defense? You ain't going to play. I'll find guys that want to play defense. That was embarrassing last night to Nebraska.
Well, and it's been like that all season for them.
Yes. Awful. But we got Badgers to talk about, right? Brewers, a hot stove going on. Brewers signed somebody today, another outfielder, because who didn't think the Brewers didn't need another outfielder? So we'll get into that thing Sparky missed coming up at 4:40. Talk some Brewers baseball with you too. But I want to bring you a couple of the Giannis things from yesterday. And again, it's up to you. It's your turn to vote. So if you want to vote on this, cool. If you don't, then we're just going to continue to talk about it. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. From the 414, Sparky, you're the only person in the area that actually takes the Bucks seriously. Talk Giannis as much as you want. Another one from the 414. Until there is a trade or Giannis says something publicly on the record addressing his future, I don't see the point of talking about him. That's from Patrick in Tosa. This is what I want.
Our guy Q in the dugout chat. He says, Giannis stuff is annoying, but you two cover it well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Q. Thank you. So this is this Porter Jr. or Kuzma?
There's both of them in there.
Both of them are in there. So this is Kevin Porter Jr. We'll start with him first. Kevin Porter Jr. yesterday talking about all of this Giannis reports and conversations surrounding Giannis.
This is the last thing I'm going to say about anything regarding false information. At the end of the day, everyone needs to wait until Giannis says something, because all this is just he say, she say. And I guarantee when we start winning and we go 8-0, 9-0, you won't see nothing about the Bucks. You won't say, oh, the Bucks is 8-0, 9-0, they're flourishing. Giannis is – we're not going to see that positive news. So at least for me, this is the last time I'm going to answer anything false.
What kind of odds would you put on them going 9-0 at some point? Winning 9 straight?
It would be astronomical odds, probably. You wouldn't bet those, Sparky.
He said that, and I was like, 9?
You would not touch those.
9 in a row? God help everybody if they go 9-0, because this fan base is going to be unhinged if they string off 9 in a row.
That'd be awesome.
Oh my God, yes.
man. I'd have 3 Jericho Sims jerseys hanging up on me.
Nobody saw the Brewers going 14 in a row.
Yeah.
Having multiple 11-game winning streaks or more.
Yeah, but when they got to that point in the season, it was a little more realistic than before the season. Yeah,
well, sure. But the Bucks could catch fire at some point, but 9 in a row in the NBA, that's something.
They look pretty bottom bucket right now. But hey, the OKC Thunder are doing it.
So if this is the basement, they're only going to go up from here, right?
9-0 seems like a really far way to go up.
It does. Yeah, no question. But if they can, man, we're not even to Christmas. Again, you got to play this month, January, February, March, till the middle of April. Plenty of time to get this figured out. Here's Kyle Kuzma. This one irritated me.
Did a report last night that Giannis met with you guys to discuss some of the rumors. Did that meeting happen? And just if so, what did he say?
I don't really know, honestly. I don't really remember a time he met with us. Yeah, he didn't sit us down like The Apprentice. It didn't go down like that.
So that's wrong. Chris Haynes.
Well, it might not be wrong. Maybe Kuzma doesn't remember it. Maybe its wording is different.
Maybe Kuzma wasn't in the team meeting.
Maybe. That's a possibility.
Come on, man. Get out of here. Why would he just say, yeah, man, we talk to Giannis. We talk to Giannis every day. Again, I don't understand why. I quote tweeted that last night when I saw the video, and I was like, there is so much BS from all sides involved in this. Like, every side has crap being thrown out there, and you just look and you go, who do we believe? Who do we believe? Do we believe Bucks players? Do we believe national reporters? The only people that haven't talked are the people involved. Giannis? Nothing. John Horst? Nothing. So the people involved have said nothing. Everybody not involved has something to say and has a story to tell. And good luck figuring out who to trust. Because yesterday it was, we're going to trust Chris Haynes because he's the cousin of Giannis's girl and blah, blah, blah. So finally somebody to talk with Giannis. He has his report. The reporters at practice follow up with Kuzma. Hey, man, so y'all had to sit down and Giannis talk to you? No, man, we had no sit down with Giannis. What are you talking about? So that means Haynes is probably wrong too. Again, like I said, this just drives me nuts. I'm so sick of this because you don't know who to believe because they all might have wrong information. They all might have right information and everybody's lying to cover their tail ends at the end of the day. Right?
I guess so. I just also think, and I brought this up with Giannis specifically yesterday, is that he's getting tired of the media and he hates that they just keep going at him and stuff. And other people have brought this up on Twitter.
Not to end it. It's his fault.
But I'm not saying it's not his fault, Sparky. What I'm saying is I think that Giannis and even Kuzma are just sick and tired and choose to be stubborn or not talk to the media, stuff like that.
Kevin Porter Jr. has had it. I don't blame him. Like if I was a player on that team, I would be mad. I'd be mad at him too. Now, they're not going to say they're mad at him publicly, but I would be. Man, you aren't even playing, and you are causing a gigantic distraction for this clubhouse, for this locker room right now. I almost said clubhouse. For this locker room right now. Because now all these reporters are going to ask, and like we talked about yesterday. So the Milwaukee reporters are like, okay, KPJ, we're not going to ask you no more. We're good. Cool. Enjoy New York. Have fun having to field those questions in New York. Enjoy Toronto. Can't wait for you to get to OKC. They're all going to be asking these guys questions about Giannis. All of it. He's a gigantic, huge distraction now. And he's not even playing. That's the thing that even irritates you more. It's not like he's averaging 30, 12, and 7 out there, and they're having to deal with this. He ain't playing. Speaking of not playing, Amon Shumpert, who... say what you want about his NBA career, but Amon Shumpert apparently goes on podcasts and talks and so forth as well. And this is called Shump Street, his own podcast. The two dudes he's with, no clue. But he's on the podcast and he's talking. And he's talking about Giannis's calf injury.
They probably cut corners, don't give everybody the money they want, save $10 million, save. They cutting corners, though. They got it. They just cutting corners. Yeah, that's what Giannis did. He cut corners. I could do it, but I'm going to sit down because I'm finna get traded.
Why do it, though?
Why not?
Well, because now you just look goofy.
He wanted the hardest working, I'm going to play blue-collar men in the league.
So why
He
not
usually
just-
do play. Now
That's
he's
what I'm
trying to
saying.
get
So why
traded.
not
We all
just-
know what's going on. Go and get traded and then bring your calf
But why
back
not
to health
just-
all of a
That's
sudden.
what I'm saying.
fine.
No, you done already
He don't want to
asked
play for y'all no more. He's sick of the small market. He said he ready for the big lights. Get the man a stylist, man.
He don't want one.
Who gonna style the man? They sending that man to New York. Welcome to New York.
Shumpert, former Nick. Appreciate the singing at the end by Iman Shumpert.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. That's an NBA guy watching Giannis with that nonsense and going, I don't believe you. I don't believe you can't play right now. Nah, I don't believe you. And again, calf strain is what they labeled it, which have led to Achilles injuries by numerous NBA players. So if you are the Bucks and go, man, stop messing around. Get out there. Let's go. You're fine. And then he blows out his Achilles or something. That's going to be like Durant and Golden State, right? You don't want to go through that. You don't want to push the issue. If he says he's got a calf strain, hey, sit over there until you're ready to come back and play. I mean, he said it himself. He's one of the hardest working dudes, blue collar guy and everything else. But here's Iman Shumpert going, man, this dude just wants to get traded. That's all this is. There ain't nothing more to this. And he even said, you can't see the video, but he even made this motion about all of a sudden his calf's going to get healthy once he gets traded. Probably true.
I guess, but Iman Shumpert never played with Giannis.
No.
You don't know if he even has
Thank
a relationship with Giannis. His mindset is clearly different than Giannis's because he's not Giannis.
It's just like Brandon Jennings didn't play with half the NBA.
Exactly.
He's got takes on
and
everything,
he's got to
too.
say That's
Yes,
part of this too.
same
Like,
thing.
yeah, they're former NBA players, but
Yes.
everybody has a different opinion of how their job goes. And
Correct.
for him to be like, "Oh, Giannis is faking," I think is a little unfair to Giannis without him knowing who Giannis is. Really,
It's completely unfair. Not kind of. 1,000% completely unfair. The crazier part is Bucks fans also wanted to give him an Emmy for that whole job when he went down because there were Bucks fans that didn't believe he was hurt.
which is just again crazy. You know him less than Iman Shumpert knows him. Iman
Don't you
Shumpert doesn't know
remember
him.
that day is when all this broke again, and everybody was at my phone. I'm getting, is he really going to play tonight? Is he really going to play tonight? He ain't going to play tonight. And then he goes out there and play, 9 minutes? And
Play
then,
for a little
oops,
bit, yeah.
hurt. Out he goes. Everybody's like, and who saw this coming? I'm just saying. That's what the reaction was. I don't know. Got a bunch of people using the talk and text line as well. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Got a bunch of texts coming. We'll get to those. Lewis, I should say, north side of Milwaukee. You're next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Lewis?
What's up, Sparky? Man, you know why this drives you crazy with these players? Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr., because you're not understanding these 25, 26 to 30-year-old guys.
You're right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Like Kuzma, they talk about his girlfriend more than they talk about him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he wants to pitch his brand and do this. What I think happened, Kevin Porter Jr., the rest of them, the same way. What I think happened is Giannis met with him. Look, I'm a little injured, this, and that. I'm going to catch a couple of these, flights to Greece. I'm going to come back and forth, in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be straight. Hey, you guys handle it in your social media, on your platforms, however you want to handle it. That's what he told him. That's the type of teammate, that's the type of guy this guy is. He ain't just going to leave his teammates out there hanging like that. And his brothers in the same locker room. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so do you think Giannis is going to be on the bench for the rest of this way out?
No, I think he's going to be in Greece. If I'm hurt.
Oh, that's right. You told me you thought he was in Greece before.
If I'm hurt, you know what I'm saying, and I'm out 2-3 weeks, and hey, guess what? Hey, Bucks, you want me to do 24-hour training? Okay, take these 2-3 people. We going to Greece. The Bucks ain't going to say no. You ain't going to say no.
Bucks
right?
are at home tonight against the Celtics. I'm going to say he's on the sidelines, sitting on the bench.
I would agree with you, but we'll see where we are around the 20th. The 21st of December, around those games.
Yeah, we'll find out.
What I'm saying?
Yep, I got you. Thanks for the call, Lewis. I got to roll. I got to get to a quick timeout. We'll come back, get some more of your text messages. Celtics Boston tonight, 7 o'clock. If you're looking to not pay an astronomical amount for parking, Potawatomi Hotel Casino's got your answer. They got shuttles going to and from the game. They leave as early as 1 hour and 15 minutes before the game is when they start going back and forth. And they also have shuttles coming back from the game, obviously, starting in the third quarter. In order to get on said shuttle, all you got to do is go to Potawatomi Sportsbook, make a game day wager, same-day game day wager, and ask for your bracelet after. Or make a purchase at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Unbelievably great food and drinks and all kinds of fun stuff at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen. You can do it that way as well. Ask for your bracelet after the purchase, and you are all set to rock and roll on said shuttle. How much do you think they get beat by tonight against Boston?
I think they win tonight against Boston. You're such a downer.
I just talked about this yesterday about how good Missoula is and how hot the Celtics are. Come on,
I get
man.
it. They've had a little bit of a break here to kind of reset a little bit.
In order to beat this Celtics team, they're going to have to shoot like 55% or
they can do that.
Three.
They can do that.
I'm just saying.
The Bucks are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes. So that's coming up tonight, Celtics and Bucks. I'll read some more of your text messages and so forth. Also, some talk out of the NFL about expanding replay. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. Still to come, Pat Hughes, Cubs play-by-play announcer. He has his website, baseballvoices.com, has done a bunch of great discs over the course of time, one of which was Bob Uecker. And holidays are coming up, great for Christmas presents and so forth. So we will get to Pat Hughes, not only talk about that, talk about the Cubs and where they were this year, losing to the Brewers in the playoffs. We'll talk about the Brewers, his thoughts on the crew as well. So lots to get into with Pat Hughes coming up at 3 o'clock. Going back to the question in the last segment, what do you want this show to do with Giannis news moving forward? The 920 says, why Giannis who? Let's wait till something actually happens. I speak for all of Wisconsinites. That's my Nasi. We all appreciate it.
Do we all?
Take it upon yourself to speak for the entire state. 414 says, no more Giannis. Bucks, absolutely. No Giannis until he's back. No trade talk until no trade talk when he's back until something actually happens from the 414. Another one from the 414. No thanks, can do without it. Not until Giannis himself comes out with something. Another one from the 414. You owe it to Milwaukee to talk Giannis stuff.
Very mixed here, Sparky.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
mostly people saying to
no,
stop talking about it.
Right. I'm fine with it. We can move on. Listen, you have Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. They'll talk Giannis, I'm sure. You will have 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Rami's got dreams of Giannis going to the Bulls. So you know they're going to talk about Giannis and any type of misfortune going on there. And then you've got Mason Crosby, Tommy Wirtz, Mitch Thunder Nellis. Thunder's a gigantic Bucks fan. I guarantee you they will talk Giannis. So if there's one show that isn't talking about every single little thing that comes out on Giannis, I don't think it's end of the world.
So we're a Jericho Sims fan show is what you're saying, and that we're just going to talk about him and how awesome he is?
No, that you are a Jericho Sims fan, the only, but you are his fan.
I mean, that's who's playing in place of Giannis right now. So, like, I feel like that's logical just to move on to him, right?
No.
Kyle Kuzma fan show?
No, not him either at this point. Not him either. Again, look at this. I seriously want you to think about this. This isn't about Giannis. This just is about the Bucks schedule right now, okay? I want you to hear what this schedule sounds like. And then you tell me exactly how you think this is going to play out kind of going forward here, knowing how badly they've played. They have the Celtics.
Win. Yeah.
No chance.
I'm on that.
The Celtics at Fiserv tonight. Then they're to the Nets on Sunday. That's a possibility. Yeah. Okay, fine. Then they're home against the Raptors on Thursday.
That's a loss.
Then they're at Minnesota on Sunday the 21st.
That's a loss.
Then they're at the Pacers on Tuesday the 23rd.
Win.
Maybe. Then at Memphis on the 26th.
Loss, because Zach Edey's been Defensive Player of the Year for some reason.
Yes. At the Bulls on the 27th.
Win.
At the Hornets on the 29th.
Win.
Home against the Wizards on the 31st.
Come on.
Home against the Hornets January 2nd. At the Kings January 4th.
Win.
That's 1, 2.
Maybe they do get to 9-0,
3,
Sparky.
4, 5, 6. I mean, it could be 9, maybe, but they would have to.
Then they got Golden State, Los Angeles, and Denver.
Well, forget after the Kings. But if you go Kings, Hornets, 2, 4, 6, they'd be Memphis and the Bulls. That's 6. And then you go back 3. That would be Pacers, Timberwolves, Raptors.
That's pretty solid. If they could actually go, I don't believe they probably win all those games. That's hopeful.
Maybe
rooting
that's
there.
where KPJ was looking on the schedule of like, look, we can win this section right here. We could get on a run.
If he keeps scoring the way he is, maybe they can get to that level.
Yeah, maybe. I guess anything is possible, right?
I guess so. Almost anything.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this whole thing plays out. Hey, coming up Friday, December 19th. That's next Friday, a week from tomorrow. Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha presents Brat Bowl 3 at the world-famous Brat Stop in Kenosha. An all-day live event starting at 9 a.m. with 670 The Score out of Chicago and the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network featuring all your favorite on-air talent. Plus, bring your new or gently used coats to donate to Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha's annual coat drive. It's Brat Bowl 3, Friday, December 19th, starting at 9 a.m. at the iconic Brat Stop in Kenosha. Brought to you by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha. For a great experience, visit ZieglerKenoshaSubaru.com and Siding Unlimited. Coming up next, it's 3 o'clock. Pat Hughes comes play-by-play radio announcer. Will join us from baseballvoices.com on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. How are we doing here on a Thursday? Hour number 2. We'll talk about the fiasco that has become Michigan football coming up in the next segment. I mean, you think things are bad at Wisconsin and what's going on with the Badger football program? I don't know, man. I feel like being a Michigan fan might be a little bit worse at this point. So we'll get into that coming up at 3:20.
That's Sparky.
We'll talk about it. Charlie Sounds of the Day brought to you by Prize Picks. Top 3 sounds from around the world of sports comes up at 3:40. Joining us now on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law, the one and only, the Hall of Famer, Pat Hughes, voice of the Chicago Cubs, and, of course, his website, baseballvoices.com. Pat, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Sparky, thank you for having me. I'm holding one of the Bob Uecker CDs right here in my hand, and I'm already smiling as we begin to talk about it.
Okay, so let's talk about, like you said, the Bob Uecker CD. Now, you made this a while ago, but with the holidays and stuff coming up, obviously it makes sense for those that are Brewer fans and so forth to go out and get this for family or friends or coworkers or whatever the case may be. Tell everybody what all goes into this Bob Uecker disc.
It's really a compilation of his greatest hits. So I'll just give you the title of some of these tracks. Mr. Baseball, Stand Up, Stand Out, his stand-up comedian career, Voice of the Brewers, Get Up and Get Out of Here, the story of his home run call. 1982, a very special year when the Brewers went to the World Series. Light Beer, he was the star of those light beer commercials. 1987, a very special year. The team started 13-0, and of course, I was his partner at that time. That was also the year of Paul Molitor's amazing 39-game hitting streak. Then Major League, the Major League movies that he was in. Robin 3000, of course, Robin Yount's 3000th hit, which Bob called. And then Cooperstown, which remains one of the most amazing speeches ever in Cooperstown because he did not have a single piece of paper or a note in front of him. It was all ad lib. It was basically his stand-up comedy routine, and he performed it flawlessly at Cooperstown. But there are bits and pieces in there. You will laugh, you will smile, you'll be amazed at just how talented and how funny Bob Uecker was. And the website is baseballvoices.com. But I'd like to think, Sparky, that this CD is a very pleasant way to remember the great Bob Uecker.
Well, last time you and I talked was unfortunately when Bob Uecker passed away. You were nice enough to come on. We had Paul Molitor on and a bunch of others that came on that day. Darren Sutton was on with us and a bunch of others. And it was great kind of going down memory lane. I want to go down memory lane again, if you don't mind, Mr. Pat Hughes. So sure. I was a kid, sneaking my radio under my pillow in the early 80s, listening to Brewers Angels baseball on the West Coast, and you and Bob Uecker doing play-by-play and so forth, and loved it. You're my favorite play-by-play team I've ever had as a Brewers fan, for me personally. Where were you prior to getting that Brewers gig and coming here and working with Bob?
I did 1 year of big league ball in Minnesota as one of the television voices of the Twins. Before that, Sparky, and thanks for asking, by the way, very few people, I think, these days even remember that I spent 12 years in Milwaukee with Bob. But before that, I mentioned 1 year in Minnesota. That was my first year, 1983, in the big leagues. Before that, 5 years of minor league ball. It began in my hometown of San Jose. I did the San Jose Missions when they were part of the Pacific Coast League, and then later part of the California League. And then I worked at a cable company in Columbus, Ohio. I did minor league ball, the Columbus Clippers. They had a star first baseman by the name of Don Mattingly.
Oh, yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
And so I did 5 years of minor league ball. I was doing basketball games all along. I played 1 year of college basketball. And I just love sports, Sparky. And basically, I wanted to be a pro athlete when I got older. I realized when I was about 17, when I was sitting on the bench on my college team, that I was not going to be good enough to play in the NBA or play in the major leagues. So the next best thing, my older brother was already dabbling in play-by-play in college at San Jose State. And he really, more than anybody else, encouraged me to get started. So I started practicing and practicing and practicing some more. People don't realize, but you have to do several hundred games as an amateur before you even earn a nickel as a play-by-play man. So if you're willing to put in the work, it can pay off big time.
That's funny. It took me to like 8th grade to figure out that I wasn't going to play in the NBA at 5'6". So I figured out quickly that I wanted to do some type of sports talk as well. Never had any wants of being a play-by-play guy. That was never a thing. But I knew I wanted to talk sports, TV, radio, whatever. And from that moment forward, everything I did going forward was trying to get to that goal. And I was lucky enough to accomplish that goal. So you get to Milwaukee with Euchre. Now, again, I mean, when you get to Milwaukee with Euchre, 83 in that era, I was like, 6, whatever it was at that point, because I was born in 76. Euchre, by that point, though, was already doing Johnny Carson and stuff like that. So his star had kind of already risen by the time you got there, right?
Oh, yeah. He was red hot when I got there. He was doing the beer commercials. Every big Super Bowl game, you'd see Bob on the light beer from Miller commercials. He was already about 10 years into his Milwaukee play-by-play at that time. He was doing Johnny Carson, it seemed like, about 2 or 3 times a year. So, yes, and he was doing all kinds of special gigs in all over the country, really. So, he was huge. But I think, from Bob, I learned more baseball. And he was a big league player. He downplayed it. He made fun of his career. But at the same time, he was very proud of being a big league ball player. He played in the National League in the 1960s, which I would say is certainly one of the golden eras. If you go back and look at all the superstars at that time in the National League, he was a player. He played for the Cardinals and the Phillies, and he played for Atlanta. So, he was somebody I learned a ton from. In fact, when I got the call from Cooperstown, this was 3 years ago, he and his wife, Judy, were driving around in the car, and he said, just congratulations, Pat, happy for you. And I said, Bob, I think I learned more baseball from you than any other man, so I thank you. And he laughed, and he said, I probably should have learned the game myself before I tried to you. So we got along fine. We were good friends, and I just learned a ton about life and comedy and performing and baseball, and he was a very special person in my life.
Bob Euchre, Mr. Baseball. Get the CD now, baseballvoices.com. Pat Hughes has a bunch of different ones. If you go to the website, baseballvoices.com, all kinds of different ones to pick from. Obviously, we're talking to the state of Wisconsin, Green Bay, Appleton, Wausau, Duluth, Superior, and, of course, southeastern Wisconsin on the Fan. And there are Brewer fans all over. So if you've never heard it, it's awesome. Check it out today. Be a great Christmas present or holiday present. Baseballvoices.com. Okay, Pat Hughes. So let me ask you this next transition question, because I do remember very vividly when you went to the Cubs, because I was heartbroken. Still think about it every night before I go to bed, Pat. When you went to the Cubs, talk about that transition of working with somebody not named Bob Euchre.
It was big. In addition to what you just said, Sparky, I would say going from one of the smallest markets and doing 3 innings of play-by-play a day with Bob doing 6, I went to a major market doing 9 innings of play-by-play per day, working with Ron Santo, who did 9 innings of color. So it was a huge change in many ways. And of course, relocating. My daughters were preschooler and first grade at the time, and now they're in their mid-30s. So I don't know where that time has gone. It's kind of crazy. But it was exciting at the same time, and I don't regret the move at all. It's turned out wonderfully for me. And now I have another great partner named Ron Coomer, and Zach Zaidman, our third man, is just the best. So it's a great gig to have. I love Wrigley and fan base, and I like the rivalry between Milwaukee and the Cubs. And we just had a good series, a very exciting, dramatic series a few months ago in the playoffs. And I think that we possibly could meet again in the playoffs here in the next year or two. Two good, strong teams, well managed, with teams full of stars, and it's really a good atmosphere both at American Family Field and at Wrigley Field when these two teams play. And let me just say one more thing about Euchre. It was really strange this year being a visiting announcer with Bob not at the ballpark in Milwaukee, because he was such a fixture there. So that was a little spooky.
Yeah, I mean, you had what they called it Euchre magic going on, right? Multiple 11-game or more winning streaks, including the 14-game winning streak that happens there in August. They get red hot. Bryce Terang finds power from who knows where, hits 10 home runs in August. And then they get through Chicago, and as Pat Murphy will tell you, they were pretty much emotionally spent by the time that series was done, and then had to figure out how to get themselves back up to play that next series against the Dodgers, which obviously was over relatively quickly there. How emotionally invested did you feel like it was in that Cubs clubhouse and so forth facing the Brewers?
It would be probably something that a ball player could better respond to that. I think that you'd also have to look at it individually instead of saying the whole team felt this way or they felt that way. I think each guy handles pressure and stress in a different manner. So I'm not really sure. I'm not trying to avoid the question. I really do think that you've got so many different personalities, but different backgrounds, different sensibilities, different education levels, different family backgrounds. So I think it really comes down to the individual. Personally, I'm always sad when the season ends, and I think people in Milwaukee can understand that you don't get to the playoffs every year. And when you do, boy, you want it to go as long as possible. And the most exciting year was obviously 2016 when the Cubs went all the way. But the key is getting in the playoffs. Just get in, and then literally anything is possible.
We used to have Ted Davis with us all the time when Ted Davis was a play-by-play voice of the Milwaukee Bucks. And, you know, he went through some horrible seasons with the Mavericks, 15-win season with the Bucks and so forth. He's like, man, I would just love just to call one NBA Finals. I don't care if my team even wins. I just want to call one before this is all over. And he finally got it, and the Bucks won the championship, and he got to be the voice of it. Was that ever something for you as you were coming up to be able to call a World Series for your team? I would assume that would be the goal.
I think so, Sparky. It's a good question. And I remember Ernie Harwell, the late, great
Tigers.
Now, he said, if you spend 10 years in the big leagues, Pat, when I first started, he said, you'll probably cover a first place team and a last place team and most of the spots in between, because every 10 years there's a cycle in big league ball. And actually it's kind of that way still, although I think that right now the Dodgers are the team to beat going into this next year because they are so strong. But it is true for most teams, you're going to be good for a while, then you're going to struggle for a while, then you're going to build it back up and then tear it back down. And even for the best teams, part of the problem is the players on championship teams are so good that they become really attractive free agents, and you can't blame them for going to greener pastures. So that's part of the mix as well. But I think you try to make those playoffs every single year and take your best chances in the postseason.
Pat Hughes, Cubs play-by-play radio announcer, former Brewers play-by-play guy, joining us to check out his website, baseballvoices.com. Talking about Bob Euchre, Mr. Baseball, the audio CD that he put together a little bit ago, and a great holiday present for whoever it may be that's a Brewers fan in your life. They will love you forever. And then you can send Pat Hughes a thank you card for getting some good points with somebody in your life. I want to ask you about the Cubs, if you don't mind.
Sure.
It doesn't look like Tucker is coming back based on all reports. I don't know if the Cubs are even involved as far as even talking with him at this point. When you look at that Cubs team going, into this offseason, is there one or two areas where, like, if they could just do A and B, they'd be in a much better position going into next year?
Well, one thing, to be honest with you, Sparky, I do not try to act like a general manager or a manager. Those are two things that I've learned way back.
You could never host a sports talk show every day then. They would never work.
That's true. And I respect that. You guys have a job to do. So do I. I'm too close to the situation.
Yeah.
I'd be privy to certain things that I just cannot share. And if I did, I could get in trouble and it would not be appropriate. So I don't try to manage. I don't try to umpire. I try to be fair and prepared and precise and accurate with what I do. But as far as telling the front office what I think they should do or what do I think of that deal, I kind of stay away from that. I really do. And it's served me well.
There he is, Pat Hughes, Hall of Famer. We were lucky enough to have him in Milwaukee, and now they are spoiled to have him in Chicago for quite a long time. Voice of the Chicago Cubs. Again, baseballvoices.com. Go check that out today. And there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's bobbleheads on there besides the CD collection that he has that you can get. There's scorecards on there that you can buy. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on this website, baseballvoices.com, Pat.
There is. And I think, obviously for Cub fans, they would find most of the items more attractive. But for things like the Bob Uecker CDs, that's got Milwaukee Brewer fan written all over it. And as you said, it's one of 17 CDs. We've got one on Mel Allen and John Miller and the great Bob Costas and Harry Carey and Jack Buck and Milo Hamilton and Harry Callis. 17 of them. I work as the producer, the writer, and the narrator, and we find the greatest highlights of all those announcers and put them on the CD and put a little music in there and put my narration and away you go.
Pat, you're missing one though. You're missing one.
Well, there's probably several I'm missing.
Well, the one that I care about the most is there's not a Pat Hughes one. When do we get a Pat Hughes one?
Well, I'll tell you, if there ever is one, it will not be produced, written, and narrated by yours.
The other thing I was thinking about, and I'm going to work hard to get this done. I want, because you have all these bobbleheads, with the Cubs and all this other stuff. I want the Brewers, and for one of these Brewers Cub games, to do a Uecker Pat Hughes bobblehead to be given away at a game. I think that would be sweet. Have you ever had a Brewers bobblehead before?
Well, make me an offer.
All right, we're going to get this done. I'll call Rich Schlesinger over at the Brewers. We'll figure this out, Pat. I'll be in touch, Pat. I'll be in touch. Thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Sparky, thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. And Merry Christmas to all your listeners.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, Pat. Thanks so much. There he is, Pat Hughes, Cubs play-by-play radio announcer. Check him out, baseballvoices.com. Go get yourself a CD, 2 CDs, 3 CDs, 4 CDs. Promise you, if you have a Brewers fan in your life and you're like, man, I don't know what to get them for Christmas. I don't know what to get them for their birthday or whatever. Man, just go get it. Go get them this Bob Uecker CD right now over at baseballvoices.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. This Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. My thanks to Pat Hughes, Cubs play-by-play radio announcer, baseballvoices.com. I'm serious. They need to do a bobblehead. Rick Schlesinger, Brewers, if you're listening. I know most of the stuff I say is ignored. I'm going to try this again. Y'all need to do a bobblehead of Euchre and Pat Hughes together. That needs to happen at some point. And I don't even know if it even has to have, because, some of them have like a call on it and audio and all that. I don't even think you even need to go that far. But I would like one of both of them. I mean, that's 2 Hall of Fame announcers that shared a radio booth in Milwaukee together. Like, how many play-by-play booths in baseball have there been where 2 guys were together for, what did he say, 12 years he was here? 2 guys that ended up both going to the Hall of Fame were in the same booth together. That cannot be very common in any sport.
Not that many that I can think of. I mean, it'd be really cool to do it like them sitting behind the desk, or the picture that I used for the
call it like the Hall of Fame bobbleheads or whatever.
You can make it be kind of cool, kind of unique, make it be in black and white like that picture, because that picture was awesome. That
picture that you used on X was very nice.
Yeah, you could do something like that.
I think it's a no-brainer. Pat Hughes, Bob Euchre, with some type of bobblehead with them together. I think that'd be sweet. I do. I think it'd be really cool. And do it when the Cubs are in town. And then bring Pat out in the field, let everybody give him a huge standing
throw out
ovation,
the first pitch.
Play some old highlights of Euchre and Pat Hughes from the 13-game winning streak and all of that with Hughes on the call. Do all of that. Yeah, let him throw out the first pitch. I think that would be awesome.
I'd be down for that. Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yes, absolutely. It wasn't like Pat was here for like 2 years and was gone. He was here quite a while. Well, if he was here like a year and like Howard David called Bucks games, I think for like 1 season and then was gone. Okay, fine. Then you don't have to do anything. But if you're here for a long time, like Ted Davis was, and like Pat Hughes was, and these guys, then yeah, man, something should be done, especially for those 2 icons in Hughes and Euchre. So my thoughts on that. Still to come, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. So I don't know if y'all have been following this Michigan story with Sharon Moore, their head coach. So yesterday, while we were on the air, the news broke that they were moving on and letting him go. And then the news broke. It was because of some inappropriate relationship that he had with somebody at Michigan. So there's that. That's where we were when we got off the air, right? That's all we knew. Inappropriate relationship, and he's out. Okay. We get off the air, and then news breaks that, they're arresting Sharon Moore for an alleged assault. What? Alleged assault investigation, I believe is how they phrased it. What is going on, man? What in the world? So I don't have details yet. I don't know if Charlie has seen details since we've come on the air at 2:00 one way or the other. But that is something that is crazy. Adam Schefter is the one that broke the story. The NFL insider breaking college stories, of course. Why not? Schefter said this earlier.
What we haven't heard yet is Sharon Moore's side of this. And he gets his say into this particular situation as well. And I do know that he felt like people had it in for him for an awful long time there while he was at Michigan. He felt like there were people who were out to get him. So all these things can all be true. It's possible that, yes, Michigan does have evidence that he had an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. And it could be that Sharon Moore is right, that people had it in for him. But the whole situation itself is just sad and tragic, because now we have a individual who had his professional life, his personal life completely upended. We have a school with a bunch of players who don't have a coach to turn to right now. We have a school in search of a program, a new coach to lead forth that program. There are a whole host of things that have transpired here that have led this to be a completely surreal, wild situation that if you heard about it, you wouldn't believe it because it almost seems made up.
How many text messages / phone calls do you think Bryce Underwood has received in Michigan, the quarterback? How much do you think his phone has, and his social media DMs and everything else, how much do you think that's blown up?
He's probably turned off his phone by now, would be my guess. Like, it's probably been blowing up since the moment that report came out.
The moment it happened.
That
do
I
you
would
think
immediately.
One of the calls or text messages or DMs was from Wisconsin?
No.
No, of course
No.
not. No.
They probably won't know this happened until like
Absolutely
3 weeks
not.
later.
No,
They're a little behind.
No clue. There's no
They
chance.
got their own problems.
Hey, man, we're going to spend more money, but we don't got that kind of money. So, like, we're not going after Bryce Underwood. You need to stop with all that. Now, Underwood's got to the portal officially opens on the 2nd. So, he's got time to make up his mind what he wants to do going forward, if he wants to stay or go. They have to figure out what they're going to do as far as coaches go, because most of these jobs have all been filled, right? Now you have a Brian Kelly out there that has won at Notre Dame, obviously. Didn't go the way that they wanted it to go at LSU, even with his fake accent. And now here is the Michigan job. Kalen DeBoers, who is not well loved, I don't think, in Tuscaloosa in Alabama, is another guy that has been rumored to maybe want to get out of Dodge before he gets canned at some point, because he barely got that Alabama program in after that no-show in the SEC championship game against Georgia. So that's another guy that's possibly out there. So I don't know which way Michigan's going to go. The thing that I found funny and the thing that I want to talk about from a Badger fan standpoint is this. How good of a job do you think Michigan football truly is at this point? That head coaching job. Like, where would you put it on the grand scheme of, all right, best jobs in college football? Where's Michigan? Top 5? Top 10? Top 20? Where is Michigan from your perspective? Again, as a Big Ten fan, a Badger fan, maybe you're an Illini fan, you root for Bielema. I'm sorry if you do, but maybe Minnesota and Fleck, who knows? Wherever you may be listening, more than likely, we have some Michigan fans listening as well. So definitely want to hear from the Wolverine fans. I know there's a Michigan fan base, at least in southeastern Wisconsin. Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I saw Wolverines fans on social media last night saying, man, this is probably still the best job in America. No chance. In no world is this the best job in college football. There's no chance. You are significantly behind Ohio State as far as who gives who the best chance to win. The reason is Ohio State academically and moving lines and everything else to get kids in, it's not even close. They're going to do whatever they have to get kids in. Michigan, to a degree, even though they've got all this crap flying since Harbaugh was there, against their coaches and cheating on the sidelines and play stealing and all this other stuff going on, even with all that, they still have somewhat of a compass, moral compass, I guess, I think, with grades far more than Ohio State probably does at this point. Then you take that and go to the SEC. Even more of that going on in the SEC. We heard Ed Orgeron yesterday talking about the SEC. Well, hey, coach, you worried about the NIL if you get back in? Well, yeah, you know, instead of going through the back door of the cash, I can go through the front door of the cash now. And everybody busts out laughing. Ed Orgeron's out there. Maybe go ahead and hire Ed Orgeron. I don't know. For so long at Michigan, it's been about hiring Michigan people. And when they hired Rich Rod, who won part of the family, it went sideways and it didn't work. Like the Badgers hired Gary Anderson, like the Badgers hired Luke Fickell. Same thing, okay? Badgers also like to stay in the family. Barry to Brett, to Paul Chryst, three different head coaches, all similar success. Not national championship, nothing like that, but continued bowl success, continued one of the top teams in the Big Ten, perennial top 25, most of the time top 20 type caliber team. Michigan is now in a situation of trying to figure out which way to go. There are plenty of people that want Ward Manuel kicked out of there, the AD, for allowing this whole mess to go down, and think he should be fired as well. I don't see how Ward Manuel would have anything to do with an inappropriate relationship that this dude had one way or the other. You heard Schefter say that Moore was thinking that there were a lot of people out to get him at Michigan, and it doesn't sound like he ever felt comfortable in that situation at Michigan, taking over for Jim Harbaugh to begin with. So if he feels, according to Adam Schefter, like they were out to get him from the beginning. This here is going to be an interesting hire. They aren't number one. They aren't top 5. Maybe 10 to 15, somewhere in that area, but they're definitely not 1 or 5 or top 5. There's no way you're selling me that program is top 5 right now with all the scandalous crap that's happened here in the last 3 to 4 years. There's just no way. And then you look at the Big Ten now. Now it's not just Ohio State. Now you got to deal with Oregon too, each and every year moving forward with that program. And if anybody ever figures out USC and gets that program up again, that's going to be another legitimate problem.
I think when I look at the University of Michigan, one of the biggest draws to me as a head coach is that, especially with Jim Harbaugh and even with Sharon Moore, is they always gave their head coach so much freedom, no matter what. They're kind of the kings of the campus, the head football coach. No matter who you are, it feels like that they are going to run that place. I think Jim Harbaugh, they especially allowed that just because he was this legend coming back and helping out coach this team. But at the same time, there's not many other jobs across the country where you get that same kind of experience. I think Ohio State probably gets that same kind of experience at this point. But even then, their fans are really critical of Ryan Day even at this point. Even when they're a good team, they still find ways to get on him and figure out ways to critique him. They don't do that at Michigan. I think LSU is another place where it could be probably above Michigan at this point because they just love their head coach until you do something wrong and then they're willing to move on from you pretty fast, kind of like Michigan did in this situation. Florida is a spot that I think is usually a pretty coveted.
Hasn't been the same. I mean, Spurrier and Urban Meyer, and since Urban Meyer, no.
But at that point, during Spurrier, you could get away with anything on that team. Literally anything on that team. Yep. USC was another school. I was going to say Texas is
Florida State.
Florida State kind of, but Florida State lately hasn't been that same thing, especially not compared to Florida and Miami when they're in that same vicinity. Texas is the other school that I think of that might be above Michigan at this point, just because it's Texas. Sure. Everybody wants to be at Texas, and then Georgia, but nobody's replacing Kirby Smart.
I would think I could be wrong on this. I don't know how big the coffers are at both schools, but I would think Texas has more money to spend at this point on NIL and otherwise, maybe even still over Michigan.
I mean, I think so. I think
Oregon definitely has more money.
I think every Texas school at this point does. They find their money. Texas Tech, TCU finds their money some way, somehow.
SMU,
Baylor, all these schools find money down there. I mean, Michigan probably would be in my top 5, maybe top 7 jobs still in the country, even with all of this, because they're so easy to forgive. And they always come back and give you all the power, really, no matter who you are, as long as you can win some football games.
I could see a big slide coming from Michigan. Just saying.
But they're
also see a big slide coming. If they lose Underwood, they're going to be in some trouble.
But then they'll figure it out 2 years later. That's what LSU did.
That's what they said about Rich Rod. Rich Rod train wrecked that program.
But then they figured it out again and ended up winning a championship.
No, the guy after Rich Rod didn't figure it out either. It took for them to go. They had to go get Harbaugh in order to figure it out. That wasn't like an overnight thing. They got so desperate. They're like, oh, hell, we'll have to deal with Harbaugh. Fine. We'll deal with Harbaugh.
Again, they wanted Harbaugh. They let Harbaugh walk in there, do whatever he wanted.
Sure, because they were at that point, they were desperate. They couldn't figure it out. I'm telling you, Charlie, they were at. Let me stop for a second. I don't know about John necessarily, but the rest of them, they're not the easiest to deal with. There's a lot that comes with the rest of that family, wherever they are, whoever they're affiliated with, coaching, programs, college, whatever.
Rumors the Ravens aren't very happy with John Harbaugh, and the players in the field may want to move on from him, by the way.
Sell the team if they fire John Harbaugh. But if, say, John Harbaugh that goes back, that would make sense to me at Michigan, right? I guess. I would trust him over Jim to do things correctly. That's for damn sure. But there's just a lot that goes into anybody with that family coming in and taking over. There's just a lot. It's not the easiest to deal with, regardless of who it is. I don't know what's going on with the Chargers, but if I had to guess, he won't be there more than 5 or 6 years, and he'll be out and he'll be somewhere else. There's just a lot. And there are certain guys that burn people out, and that dude is one guy that burns people out. So you got to be like, okay, do I want to deal with this whirlwind when he comes in here? Because he's going to turn things completely around and do it his way. And they did, and it worked. It worked, right? They won. Hey, on Friday, December 19th, that's next Friday, Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha presents Brat Bowl 3 at the world-famous Brat Stop in Kenosha. All-day live event starting at 9 a.m. with 670 The Score in Chicago and the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network featuring all of your favorite on-air talent. Plus, bring your new or gently used coats to donate to Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha's annual coat drive. It's Brat Bowl 3, Friday, December 19th, starting at 9 a.m. at the iconic Brat Stop in Kenosha. Brought to you by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha. For a great experience, visit ZieglerKenoshaSubaru.com. And by Siding Unlimited, visit SidingUnlimited.com for their honest price guarantee. That is a lot of fun. So you're going to have all these different shows from The Score and from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network that will all be out there. There'll be talent from both stations exchanging and going on each other's shows. There'll be former players walking around and hopping on shows as well. So if you're a big Packers fan, a big Bears fan, Come check us out next Friday. We'll be there all day long on December 19th. Looking forward to seeing everybody for Brat Bowl 3 at the Brat Stop in Kenosha. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. Bucks Celtics tonight. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after win. So act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Okay. Charlie's time. And of course, it's brought to you by our fine folks over there at Prize Picks. I have a lineup for tonight. I'll tell you what it is at the end. What do we got?
All right, first up here, since we were talking about the Michigan head coach opening, Pete Thamel, ESPN insider for college sports, was on the Pat McAfee show, also doing the same thing. Here's his thoughts on the opening.
Michigan is one of the best jobs in college football. It obviously, in this era, has myriad resources that it can leverage. We saw that with the Bryce Underwood signing last year, and it comes at a time where we have seen, about a dozen power jobs open. So obviously big coaches have moved. We've also seen another half dozen really high profile coaches get extensions or get close to being extended. So in theory, the pool for Michigan is smaller than it would have been if the job had opened in a traditional hiring and firing timeline. Now, I've been told this morning that is not going to quell Michigan's ambitions, right? Michigan obviously institutionally feels they can go get a great coach.
Okay. I'm glad that they feel like they can go get a great coach. Who's it going to be? I mean, I've seen names like John Gruden, Brian Kelly. We talked about DeBoers. Another guy that's brought up is Jesse Minter, who was on that staff with Harbaugh at Michigan. I don't think he was all that well liked, if we're being honest. But he was on that staff at Michigan. Now he is with him with the Chargers. That would be keeping it inside the Michigan/Harbaugh family. If I am in charge over there, Ward Manuel, the AD, you're fired. Out you go. I'm finding a new AD and letting them pick whoever they want. I'm moving on from all of this Harbaugh crap and all of the people associated with him. Let's start over with the new AD. Now, the AD could be Charles Woodson. I'm cool with that, but I am not going back to the Harbaugh clan of people that he had as part of that university. I'm completely out on that.
I feel like that's 100% what they're going to do is crawl right back to the Harbaugh clan.
Yeah,
that's what worked before.
Make another hire. It'll be Minter or somebody, and then they're going to go. Or John, and they'll bring another Harbaugh in.
It's the easiest decision. That's what worked last time.
Crazy. All right, what's next?
Next up, we're going to head over to the Cincinnati Bengals, where a lot of discussion has been surrounding Joe Burrow and the way he's been talking during his press conferences. Here is Joe Burrow speaking on his mindset right now since coming back from his latest severe injury.
If I want to keep doing this, I have to have fun doing it. I've been through a lot, and if it's not fun, then what am I doing it for?
Oh, shut up.
So that's the mindset I'm trying to bring to the table.
How much fun are you having right now? It's difficult to have fun given the season, what you've been through physically, emotionally, all of it. Is it tough?
Yeah, certainly.
Oh, I'm done. Turn this off. Listen here, you spoiled brat. This is the thing. Yeah, you wanted LSU. Yeah, you got off to a really good success story there at Cincinnati, right? Smoking your cigars, doing all that. Now you get adversity. Now you're going to pout and cry about it. And grow up, man. You're supposed to be the leader of that damn organization, not the football team. The organization, that's your organization. Like it was Brett's organization, it was Aaron's organization, and now it's Jordan Love's organization. It's yours. You're going to pout every time something goes wrong. That ain't good. That's not good for the organization. That's not good for the guys in the locker room. That's not good for the coaching staff who everybody looks to you. So if that's your attitude, it's going to be all screwed up. You know what's funny to me? Earlier today, a fellow coworker of ours who is a Minnesota Vikings fan, he's like, so what do you think about the Joe Burrow stuff? It's like, what Joe Burrow stuff? Well, with his attitude and stuff, people are thinking maybe he goes to the Vikings. The Vikings? You seen anything on Burrow and the Vikings?
I haven't, but that'd be
no, absolutely freaking not.
Man.
Burrow back with Justin Jefferson, that would be horrible for this division.
That would be by far the best quarterback division in all of football, so easily.
Caleb Williams would be so far down. I mean, it would be Burrow, Love, Goff, and Caleb Williams.
And they're all still probably top 15 quarterbacks in the league this season, man.
Yeah, Caleb Williams, well about that. But the other three, I just see that. But either way, yeah, we do not want Burrow in this division. And I don't think they can allow Burrow to leave Cincinnati ever. That they cannot allow that to happen. But he's got to grow up and figure things out. All right, go ahead.
And last up here, we're going to head over to Woodward Sports Network in Detroit, where Stick from Big D Energy, the show, was on there discussing the Lions.
I don't even know what this is, but I know the dudes, so I can only imagine.
The Lions looking poised to take down the Packers in the playoffs.
I love how this storyline is working out with the Packers. They can get their little victory in the regular season, but come playoff time, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And you know who's going to be there in their way to get to that Super Bowl? It's going to be your Honolulu Blue Detroit Lions, and it's set up perfectly to rip the hearts and souls out of the entire Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is almost like the Avalanche storyline, D-Mac. Like they were the villain. They beat you in the regular season, and you got your vengeance in the playoffs. I see it happening with the Lions and the Packers this year. I love that they got their 2 wins in the regular season. We'll get our win when it counts.
This dude was quiet after both losses. Ran his mouth leading up to that Thanksgiving game. Quiet, nothing on social media when this whole thing went down. Dude, what's his name? Stick?
Stick,
yeah. Say, Stick, you need to focus on making sure your team is even in the damn playoffs at this point before you start talking about, we're going to take down the Packers in the playoffs. Yeah, maybe you will, but you got to get there first, man. And right now, you got a long ways to go before you're securely in. I mean, their playoff hopes may come down to the last week of the season. They may need to win. They may need help up from others to get in. They're not a lock to get in the playoffs right now.
Well, and if they go out there and lose this week to the number 1 team in the NFL, not just the NFC, really the NFL, and the Bears and Packers both win games, man, you're kind of screwed. You have no option. You have no other option but to win this game this Sunday, and I don't believe you can.
This is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's holiday season, the best of time for your year of sports, bowl games, basketball matchup, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, it's one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks, baby. Daily fantasy. All you're doing is going more or less on 2 or more player stat projections set to you by Prize Picks, and you're ready to roll. New feature alert. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. How cool is that? Plus, of course, Flex Play, which means you can get one wrong and still cash out at the end of the day. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Howdy! It's 4 o'clock. I just need myself a cowboy hat. I'd fit right on in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie using other side of the glass. We will get to the lineup that I have for fantasy, daily fantasy, coming up in the last segment of the show. I didn't have chance to do it there when we did our read for Prize Picks, but we will get to it. Coming up in the next segment of the show at 4:20, after we hear a little bit from Matt LaFleur here. Y'all been paying attention what's going on with the Thunder in the NBA? Have y'all been paying attention? Now, I know that's not a Bucks story. It's not Brewers. It's not Badgers. Nothing like that. I understand. But what they are doing right now and what they have been doing dating back the last 82 games is crazy, I tell you. Crazy good.
Just absolutely, like, everybody on that team is locked in.
Correct.
It's insane.
So we are going to talk about that. And we talk about dominance and dynasties. Are they the Bulls? Are they the Jordan Bulls? By the way, congratulations, Michael Jordan. Big NASCAR lawsuit court victory earlier today. Got to watch him on the court steps talking about his victory against NASCAR. Is it the Warriors dynasty? Like, what kind of dynasty are we setting up here with Oklahoma City? Because it feels like this is going to be a dynasty that's going to last a long time as we sit here. Eventually, guys are going to have to get paid, but this is going to go on for a minute, I think. So we'll get into that coming up at 4:20. Things Sparky missed at 4:40. Before we do all of that, we got to do this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right. Time now to hear what the Packers head coach, Matt LaFleur, has to say. I feel like lately on this show, I have been more reserved listening to Matt LaFleur than I was, say, in other parts of the season, Charlie. There for a while, I felt like I was yelling at Matt LaFleur every time we played his presser.
Yeah, and it only took like 2 questions to get there, too.
Right. And I'd just be furious. Like, come on, man. Let's go. What are we doing?
Rant about like 10 minutes long. We'll only get those 2 clips because of that. You know, I did all this hard work.
Correct. Yeah. So this is the thing. So just kind of behind the curtain. Sometimes I know kind of what we're going to play. And other times I see the title of the clip, but I actually haven't physically heard it yet. That is the case here. The title of this clip, labeled by Charlie Hughes, is Matt LaFleur on getting Matthew Golden's confidence back. I can't wait to hear this.
Well, I think anytime for young players, when you're away from it for a minute, yeah, I think there's a little bit, it's a little bit of a process, but he's a guy that we certainly feel really good about, and we need to make sure we get him into the game because he can impact the game. We all see what he can do as a receiver, and we got a lot of confidence in him. And I know he hasn't gotten probably as many opportunities as he'd like this year, and some of that is due to the fact that he has been a little bit banged up and been in and out a little bit.
Okay. So that's not the issue. No. The question, I didn't hear the question, but the question should be, hey, why do you think Bo Melton's had a better year than Matthew Golden at wide receiver, considering you took him in the first round and the other guy was at corner in training camp? Like, what's going on? Like, why can't he get any type of groove going? Forget the injury. Before he got hurt, he wasn't going. So help me understand where the problem is, because that's what I want to know. Like, does he not understand the playbook? Is he not running routes at the right depth? Is he seeing things differently than what Jordan Love sees, and he's running his routes wrong? Like, what is the issue? Because for me, if I'm Brian Gutekunst, again, you don't want to overstep. You don't want to meddle. But at some point, when you didn't have Watson, you didn't have Reed, you haven't had Reed all year to just now. At some point, wouldn't you tell Matt LaFleur, hey, man, I don't know what's going on in this offense. It's your offense. You do what you got to do. But we're running a lot of stuff with Jayden Reed. Why can't we run that with Matthew Golden right now and get him the ball? Can't we see that? That I don't understand, Charlie. Like, I would be all over Matt LaFleur to get him more involved, and it never happened.
I mean, I know Brian Gutekunst obviously had to be involved in the picking of Matthew Golden, but at the same time, can't Brian Gutekunst kind of sit back and say, that was Mark's pick, man. That wasn't my pick.
Crap there.
But that would be the reason why I don't think he's out there trying to push Matthew Golden to be in this lineup. I mean, they talked about today, Bo Melton being in a white offensive jersey at practice. He's getting offensive reps now, like fully, not even just half and half like he had been. This is a situation where it's beyond injuries. These aren't major injuries that he's had. These are ones that probably should take 1 to 2 weeks, but outside of those 1 to 2 weeks that he's had, he still is getting phased out of the offense. This is such a weird situation. And again, just kind of feels like it felt like the Packers just went out there and took him because they felt like they had to. Almost a desperation pick almost at this point.
It was awesome. I will never be mad at them for making that pick. That was perfect going away present.
What if he's Kevin White, though, of the Chicago Bears? Like, what if that happens?
Do you realize the majority of people listening right now say, who the hell is Kevin White, Charlie? People don't even know who Kevin White is. He was supposed to be really good, never panned out.
Awesome, man.
But Matthew Golden is really good. And maybe it'll be year 2 where we see it. Maybe it'll be in the postseason where we see it. Well, LaFleur also talked about the idea or the question of why didn't Wicks and Golden play all that much last week?
Well, yeah, I would say yes. However, Wicks was battling through all week. So anytime a guy's dinged up, you're really not quite sure what it's going to be. He went out there and it was bothering him. So he let us know. And then it wasn't like a situation where he couldn't go back in. It's just, we were going to put him in if we absolutely needed him. And same with MG, kind of going into that game, it was for more or less past situations only. And, just didn't need him as much as we may have thought going into the game. I think some of that was alleviated by having Bo go in there and taking some reps. So, but certainly guys that, we've seen what they can do. Both those guys do a great job and can impact the game in a very positive way for us.
If I can just follow, can you get them healthy, still practicing or, in a situation where they're still, I'm sure, putting stress on whatever they're injured.
Yeah, that's why you're trying to, I'd say it's a moving target every day. It's going to be a little bit different in regards to how they're feeling and where they're at. I do think it was probably beneficial that they didn't have as many reps in the game to come out a little bit healthier, and I think they're feeling a little bit better this week.
I'd like to, again, I'm sure he's telling the truth. I'm not saying he's making stuff up. But if we're being honest, you and I, if we're being honest, doesn't Golden seem like the odd man out right now in this group? Healthy or not? Like, whose reps is he going to take? He ain't taking Jayden Reed's reps. Now, Romeo Doubs might be building himself a hole. I don't know. But Doubs, Reed, Watson, Wicks, Melton. That's 5. They're all going to play. Unless Bo Melton starts dropping passes, he's playing, folks. So that's 5. They had 7 tight end targets, I believe, in the last game. So they're utilizing the tight end too. I don't see how Matthew Golden is going to get to be that guy unless somebody ends up on the sidelines that we're not expecting. Now, based on play and productivity, that would be Romeo Doubs. Now, he, by all accords, is tight with Jordan Love. So that would surprise me. But somebody is going to have to go to the sidelines if Matthew Golden's going to play. Justin in Watertown, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. What's up, Justin?
All right, Sparky, this is the Packer way, right? Unless there's an absolute need, the Packers do not rush rookies. They let them sit. They develop them. They let them sit. And then they're like, okay, now you're ready. They don't care when they drafted them. You are a rookie. You're going to earn your spot. You're not going to be given a spot unless we absolutely need you because we have too many injuries or it's a weak position.
So you're saying to me, Sparky, cool your jets. He'll be fine next year.
Correct. This is what they always do.
And
right?
again, I mean,
say more on
Dobson.
offense than defense.
Yeah.
On defense, they don't necessarily do it as much because there's more need generally on defense. Their defense has been pretty poor. But offensively, the only time they started those rookie wide receivers is when we really had nothing.
Correct.
Our cupboard was empty and we needed guys.
Fair point. Yeah, I mean, if you go back, I mean, Driver, Nelson, James Jones, Devontae, all those guys. You got good points on all of that. Most of those guys did not start. The last guy that started it as a rookie, Javon Walker, right?
Correct. He was our last first-round pick, and that's why everyone was so excited. But Walker was a different type of receiver, too. He was big, he was strong, he was quick, right? He was that ideal number one.
Correct.
Golden isn't that.
Yep, no question. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. There's Justin checking in Watertown. I think he's right. I think he's got a good point. I mean, history does say that this organization doesn't play wide receivers specifically, rookie wide receivers, all that much early on unless they're in desperation mode. And that year, first year as with Jordan Love as a starter, I think they all thought they weren't going to be very good. It's going to be a learning experience for everybody. And they were willing to take a step back to get everybody the necessary experience. And then all of a sudden they got really hot in the second half and everything changed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But at the same time, when you draft a first-round wide receiver versus a third to seventh-round wide receiver that the rest of these guys are that you're giving opportunities to, it's kind of hard to say that he needs to sit on the bench like everybody else to learn the system, to get in that routine. You draft him in the first round to play right away. That's what every first-round pick is generally supposed to be. Outside of some quarterbacks and maybe a few offensive linemen that are injured, if you're a wide receiver, you're supposed to come in and try to be helpful to your offense right away. If not, you end up being like a Treylon Burks, who is on his third team now after being drafted just 3 years ago. He wasn't given that time to grow. Jahan Dotson's another player that's sitting on the Eagles right now that was on Washington 2 years ago when they drafted him, and he hasn't been able to figure out. These are situations where if you don't get going now, especially for a team that is ready for you to get going now, like the Green Bay Packers, they will move on from you. That's what cutting Malik Heath is. If you're the next guy up, yeah, they're not going to cut Matthew Golden, but they're going to let him sit on the bench and maybe find a different home for him eventually.
Wow. I think when this is all said and done next year, Dobbs is gone, right? We're all confident in that. So I think you're starting three wide receivers next year are going to be Watson, Reed, and Golden. Those are going to be your top three receivers going forward. And if that's your top three receivers, watch out, because there is a lot of speed with those front three. Because Tucker Kraft, I don't think he'll be ready at the beginning of the season, right?
I mean, no, probably not, because he tore it just too late into the season.
Correct. And you're not wasting a pick on a tight end on day two, because that's where your first picks are, second and third round. So you're not wasting a pick at tight end on day two to put somebody else out there. So you're going to have to rely on these young wide receivers and getting the ball to them to start the season next year.
You're probably going to have to go out and get another veteran wide receiver in that room too. That's going to create some kind of competition, especially if Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, guys who haven't been able to stay healthy in their career so far, don't stay healthy.
It's a good idea. They haven't done it really, but yeah, it's a good idea if they decide to go that way. Mike, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talking text line. What's up, Mike?
Sparky, hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate you taking my call. Now, I'm a superstitious guy. I always look for things that are mind games, and Matt LaFleur and the Bears are not getting along real well. I just think the few snaps that Golden got last week against the Bears, they're going to line them up the same way, and then they're saving them for the Bears game. This isn't for next year. This is a week from Sunday that Matthew Golden is going to blow it up.
I hope you're right. I said earlier that I was hoping Matthew Golden would blow up in the playoffs, like have that breakout game in that first playoff game, go off, and then all of a sudden the next opponent's like, wait. He hasn't been a factor all year. Now I got to prepare for him and Watson and Reed and Jacobs. I mean, that would really be a huge coup for the Packers if he got going late in the season and had to have these guys preparing for somebody else.
And I'm sure, as he's learning everything, and I bet you they're telling him that you are going to be the X factor as we go forward in these next 4 weeks and beyond.
Yep, absolutely. Mike, don't be a stranger, man. Call in whenever you'd like. Take care. There's Mike and Hubertus joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. It's a broadcast live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. Back we go. Trell, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talker text line. What's up, Trell?
Hey, what's going on? So I think it's a mixture of everything. Justin, Mike. I like both of their calls. I think it's a mixture of that. I also think that this is one time I got to give Matt LaFleur credit because I've been so hard on him on what he was doing in the offense before. Now I'm seeing he's starting to add more wrinkles as the season goes along. And I think that's a very good thing because when your team is on a winning streak, you have to do something weekly to add a little something more that you could just not only put on tape, but you can give your team something or a particular player something to go after. And I think that's how you continue a winning streak. So you don't get to a point where you've been hot and then you have a letdown.
Right.
So I think it's starting anew every time. And I think they're in a sweet spot. They won 4 games in a row. You got 4 more games. So you could be on an 8-game winning streak possibly to end the season. And then you got the playoffs. And I think that's not too much of a winning streak. You know what I mean? Where they can still go into the playoffs or on a very high, be ascending and still not be in line for a letdown. You know, those teams that be on those long winning streaks, you start to see those little things and the winning streak where they're starting to, like Denver. Denver's on a 10-game winning streak, and they haven't played well in some of those games, even though they won. So they're due for a letdown. I'm not saying the Packers are going to beat them, which I think they are, but I'm not saying that's not going to happen. But if they don't lose to the Packers, they're going to lose one of these games, hopefully, and it could be in the playoffs, you know. So, because Sparky, do you remember when the Packers had that long winning streak with Aaron Rodgers?
15-1. They lost to the Chiefs because they refused to move Jordy Nelson around, kept him on one side of the field, and essentially took him out of the game. Yep.
They lost that game to the Chiefs, and they had that long winning streak. They lost that game to the Chiefs, but they lost it so late in the season. It was like even when they started to get back together, they were never the same team again.
I mean, if you remember that season at 15-1, their defense sucked. I mean, their defense was horrible. They were outscoring everybody. I mean, opposing quarterbacks were throwing for 300 yards and losing to that Packers football team that year. So there was clearly a flaw. This football team, I don't think there's that big of a flaw with this football team, Trell. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Outside of possibly the special teams, right? But even that isn't that big of a problem. Nikolai Law talking text line 262. What about Dontavian Wicks? He won't be in the top 3 next year? No. Listen, I got nothing against Wicks. When he is good, he's really good. But the drops concern me. Just like with Dobbs, right? Dobbs has his drops too. That concern you. Golden's hands are golden. Love him. Jaden Reed had drop problems too Now, if he starts dropping the ball, he could find himself on the sidelines watching too. Watson doesn't drop the ball. Golden doesn't drop the ball. Reed has had his issues. Wicks has had his issues. Dobbs has had his issues. So I think going into this, it's going to be some variation of those 4. So I would say Wicks is in the top 4. And then however it shakes out in training camp and preseason, you go from there. But with Golden being a first-round pick, Charlie, I think they're going to try and push him to have more of a prominent role to start next year.
You kind of have to. Again, if he doesn't have a prominent role, you start getting into those talks of Jordan Morgan like we've been rotating through here, man.
No more Jordan Morgan. And that's the other thing. He's going to be your starting left tackle next year. So you're going to have to deal with whatever comes with that whole deal.
It's going to be a lot of gamble with those 2 important positions.
You talk to people up in Green Bay, they feel very confident that Jordan Morgan will be okay at left tackle. So we will see.
They're not going to come out here and say, nah, dude, we're screwed with Jordan
right.
Morgan.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. No question. Hey, you know what else you're right about? The Bucks play tonight, and when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after win. So act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. The Oklahoma City Thunder have been unconscious. What kind of dynasty dominance might we be looking at here with this Thunder team? All this talk about trading Giannis and all of this other stuff. And I keep telling everybody, if you trade him, who cares where he goes? Because you're not winning anyhow. It doesn't matter. You got to rebuild and restart. But when you hear these Thunder numbers, I don't think I care where Giannis goes because he ain't winning one there either. We'll talk about that next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Still to come, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up at 5 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Hope y'all are doing well here on a Thursday. Friday's almost here, folks. It is almost here. And next Friday, December 19th, Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha presents Brat Bowl 3 at the world-famous Brat Stop in Kenosha. All-day live event starting at 9 a.m. with 670 The Score and Wisconsin Sports Radio Network featuring all of your favorite on-air talent. Plus, bring your new or gently used coats to donate to Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha's annual coat drive. It's Brat Bowl 3, Friday, December 19th, starting at 9 a.m. The iconic Brat Stop in Kenosha. Brought to you by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha. For a great experience, visit ZieglerKenoshaSubaru.com and by Siding Unlimited. Visit SidingUnlimited.com for their honest price guarantee. And as I talked about yesterday, Brat Stop in Kenosha. I know you're listening in Green Bay, Appleton, Wausau, Duluth, Superior. Going, man, I'm not driving all the way down to Kenosha in the corner, southeastern corner. That's cool, but maybe you got family or friends down here. You can send them our way over there at the Brat Stop. It is a very big venue with a gigantic stage that has had many national touring acts that have come through there and played at the Brat Stop. It's right off the Highway 50 exit off of I-94 heading towards Chicago in Kenosha. It is a huge place. It's a lot of fun. The Score normally ends up on the stage. We end up in another part of the bar, which is gigantic. And we do shows. The personalities from both 670 The Score and from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network will swap and go on each other's shows. There'll be former players walking around, hopping on shows. So it'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it again, coming up next Friday from 9 till 5. This show, 2 to 5, will be out there as well. Rumor has it, one Charlie Hughes maybe rolling out to his very first remote with Sparky.
Yeah,
Potentially.
should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Looking forward to that. That should be a good time too. Okay, before we get to Think Sparky Missed, brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals, coming up here in about 10 or 15 minutes, I want to talk a little bit about the Oklahoma City Thunder. So the Oklahoma City Thunder are a young, up-and-coming team, is that's what they would say. But then they won.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's no longer up-and-coming once you win, correct?
Yeah, no more.
I saw this stat last night on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I was like, oh my goodness, like this needs to be talked about, even though it's not Bucks, Brewers, whatever else. The Oklahoma City Thunder, over their last 82 games that they've played, are 72-10.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Sparky.
That's the best over an 82-game stretch all time in NBA history.
And right now, I think they're on pace for 77 wins currently.
So you know how they have plus-minus differential, right? So the Brewers, right, were plus 89 runs for the season or whatever. In that 72-10 stretch, you want to know what their plus scoring points differential is?
What's that?
Plus 1,189 points.
That's absurd. That is saying that you are winning every game by at least like 20 points. At least 20 points.
And they're crushing people this year as well. Now, the Celtics come in tonight at 5, so they're going to play the Bucks. They've been rolling through really good teams, playing without Jason Tatum. Missoula's doing an unbelievable job. Now, again, how they're doing it in Boston is the way that Doc Rivers said they were going to do it in Milwaukee, right? So that is shoot and make a bunch of threes, defend the rim, make the other team shoot threes, and see if they can beat you. That was pretty much the plan that Milwaukee had, that they can't execute without their star, that Boston is clearly executing without their star. Now, in fairness, Boston's number 2 and number 3 players probably better than what Milwaukee has for certain, right? Jaylen Brown and so forth, better than what Milwaukee has. But either way, they're getting it done. Oklahoma City, okay, so you got Alexander, right? SGA, bad man. Chad Holmgren. I mean, you got one guy after another that you look at that roster and go, where's the weakness? How do you go at them? How do you beat them? Because they can beat you in numerous different ways depending on the night. It's not just shooting threes like Boston or shooting threes like Milwaukee is trying to do. They'll come at you from all different perspectives. So the question we have is this. Do you think this Thunder team will match the dominance of the 2010 Warriors or the 90s Bulls? Now, the 90s Bulls won 6. And if Jordan hadn't decided to play baseball or whatever that was, they probably would have won 8 in a row. They would have. If Jordan did not go away, they would have won 8 in a row. That's how the Rockets got there too, with Olajuwon and Drexler and Sam Cassell and those guys. But if Jordan was playing, no chance. There's no chance they beat the Bulls. So that's 6 of 8. We have not seen 6 of 8 since then. Not even close. Even with Golden State, with Durant and Curry and all that, not even with that did they ever get to that point. And this is a young basketball team that they're going to have to pay, and they're going to have to figure it out as they go forward. But they got the best general manager in sports, probably, in Sam Presti, who knows how to wheel and deal, who knew how to rebuild an organization that lost stars like Durant and Harden and Westbrook, and still figured out a way to make it work. He had Chris Paul. Didn't they have Paul George at one point too in Oklahoma City, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's all these cats. All of them. And here you go. He took draft picks and made them work. You want to know what happens when Giannis leaves? You have to have somebody like Sam Presti. The problem is there's only one. But you have to hit on your draft picks. Whether they're early in the first round, late in the first round, second round, you have to hit consistently in order to get there. So I ask you, what kind of run are we talking about here, do you think, for the Thunder? Nikolai Law talking, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250.
I mean, look at their roster. That's all draft picks besides Isaiah Hartenstein, outside, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Shai, if we're being honest, wasn't Shai until he got to OKC.
Doc did not want to part with Shai with the Clippers.
He knew what he could be, but all their other key players, and then Alex Caruso as well. But I mean, Chet is theirs, Jalen Williams is theirs, Aaron Wiggins was theirs, Isaiah Joe was not theirs. He was in Detroit, but still a guy that they developed to get to that point from being in Detroit. Lou Dort's theirs, Casey Wallace is theirs. I mean, this is a team that is just full of players that know how each other work. And then when they get players from other organizations, they make sure they fit like their draft picks. They scout them like they were players that they wanted.
And you've got a young coach.
I mean, this is insane how well they're able to go out there and then have a coach like Mark Daigneault to be able to just come in right away and have that type of impact. I mean, this looks kind of crazier than the Warriors, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know about the Bulls. I didn't experience the Bulls, but the Warriors, you saw it take place over time since when they drafted Steph Curry. It was such a process.
I mean, if you think about it, so the Warriors had a great scorer in Steph, a great shooter in Clay, and then Durant for that short time, obviously. Draymond was no scorer, never has been.
But one of the greatest defenders of all time.
Great defender, fine. Great role player, because that's all he is a role player. So, yeah, I'll give you that. This Oklahoma City team, they have more guys that can score on a consistent basis.
And they don't even need it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now is trying to start a new streak of scoring 10-plus points like LeBron was because he lost his streak. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's on that type of trajectory, and there's 3 games this season where he wasn't the leading scorer for the Oklahoma City Thunder because Chet Holmgren decided to be, or one random night Casey Wallace wants to be. I mean, they have 6 to 7 guys I think can take over, but that's the modern NBA now, and that's why when we were talking about the Milwaukee Bucks and them wanting to find that second option for Giannis, I don't know if you need just one person to be that. I think you could be like the Thunder and have 6 to 7 other guys that can come off the bench and score 15 for you a night.
Fair, but they don't have the talent that the Thunder have.
No.
They do not.
No.
And as you pointed out, it was done by how? Drafting. It's not been, Horse has not been drafting. Now, again, part of the reason is because they trade all their picks. So that's the first part. The second part is they don't have lottery picks.
There's second rounders that Oklahoma City is working with right now, like Lou Dort and Casey Wallace, like I'm talking about, that are just not the same high tier players as a Chet Holmgren, and they're still making it work.
Still making it work. Absolutely right. You look around the rest of the NBA. Who's the competition? Who is it? Detroit? They're young. Is Detroit eventually going to be that team? I don't think they have a star player that matches SGA. Cunningham is nice. I like him, but I don't think he's SGA by any stretch.
Jalen Duren, I love Jalen.
Jalen Duren's another good player, right?
He's been phenomenal this season.
Yeah, that's another good one. So maybe the Pistons eventually are that team.
Toronto's a really nice young team that's playing way better than people expected this season. Could come out eventually in the future. Orlando Magic.
You and your Orlando Magic, stop. They're horrible. Stop.
They're not horrible. They're 15-10. They're the 4th seed in the East right now.
They're not going anywhere. But I mean, if you look in the West, I mean, Joker's getting older.
San Antonio.
San Antonio, that's the team.
That's the team.
That's the team. So
Dallas
San
maybe too
Antonio,
if they can get a little younger. If
they move Anthony Davis, yeah. San Antonio is definitely the team, right? So it's going to be the Thunder and it's going to be the Spurs battling in the West probably for the next 10 years, at least.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, as long as Wemby stays healthy, as long as Shea still actually Shea could get hurt, and I think the Thunder will be
still
okay.
win.
Yeah, that's what it looks like right now.
Charlie using over there. See Sparky 5 for here. If you're going to go down that Bucks game coming up tonight against the Celtics at Fiserv, make sure to not pay all those exorbitant prices downtown. Instead, take the shuttle from the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. That's right, a shuttle. Now you get park for free right there in their nice parking garage, covered from the elements and all of that fun stuff. Big fan of that. Then you go to the Potawatomi Sportsbook, make a same game day wager, ask for your bracelets right on the shuttle, or make a purchase at the Potawatomi Sportsbook from the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen. Ask for your bracelet, get you on the shuttle. Shuttles leave starting at 1.5 hours prior to game time. Hour and 15 minutes, prior to game time. And then shuttles start coming back from Fiserv starting in the third quarter. Might need that tonight against the Celtics. But that's how it works. For more information, all you have to do is go to Potawatomi.com to find out about the shuttles to and from the Bucks games at Fiserv Forum. Think Sparky missed comes up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Brewers make a couple of signings today. We'll tell you who those are next.
It's a moment a young man has been living for his entire life. As many challenges as he had in front of him. And A.J. Hinch tried to make him as comfortable as possible. And you couldn't do it. First pitch swinging. Deep left field. Way back. Storybook home run.
How about that, Shep? All right, great shot. I think that was Matt Shepard on the call. The Tigers and his first at bat for Akil Baddoo. That's how you say his name, right?
Yep,
Akil Baddoo.
nailed it.
Yeah. So 5'11", 214 pounds, lefty, bats and throws left-handed. The Brewers signed outfielder. Akil Baddoo to a major league contract. Now, if we go back to 2021, you probably would say, and without a shadow of a doubt, that's his best year when he was 22 years old. It's gone downhill since then. But in 2021, 13 homers, 55 RBIs, 18 stolen bases. He hit 259, 330 on base, 436 slugging. That was by far his best year. Since then, 204, 289 on base, 269 slugging. Next year, 218, 310 on base, 372 slugging. Next year, $137, 220 on base, 301 slugging. And in fairness, that was only 31 games. Last year, only 7 games at the major league level, hit 118, 167 on base, 176 slugging. Stolen base numbers, he's had double digits twice in the majors in 21 and 23. Go ahead. I'll wait for the explanation. Tell me what is going on.
What do you mean? What do you think is going on?
I'll tell you what's going on before we forget. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. We're doing this right here.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
They obviously needed 14 more outfielders, right, Sparky?
I'm just trying to figure this out. I mean, all I can come up with is they're getting ready to move one or two of these cats in order to go forward.
There's plenty of options out there to move in this situation. You have an Isaac Collins who played pretty well for a good month and a half last season and then was serviceable otherwise. You have a Blake Perkins who's a defensive wizard but couldn't stay on the field last season.
Yep.
You know, Garrett Mitchell is still on this team to some degree, as long as he stays healthy, I guess.
Hey, our guy, Matt Arnold, called him a stud. Athletically, he can do everything. He said there's not going to be anybody that's going to out-athlete Garrett Mitchell when he's on the field.
Heard that for the past 7 years.
I understand. I'm just saying Matt Arnold's a fan for sure. So they signed Akil Baddoo to a 1-year major league contract, and he's on the 40-man roster, which is now full. Okay, so they didn't have to remove anybody. They also, according to Adam McKelvey, Brewers.com, signed outfielder Greg Jones. Now, this cat's played shortstop, second base, and all the outfield positions. Signed him to a minor league contract with an invitation to the big league camp coming up in spring training when we get there in February. I looked this guy up. I didn't know who this guy was either. I looked this guy up. He's a speed demon. 45 stolen bases, 43 stolen bases. So this is just a fast dude that can be a pinch runner or be a utility player that can kind of play all over the place. Definitely not he had some power. I shouldn't say that. In the minors, he's hit like 15 homers in a season. So maybe there's some pop that goes along with that we've seen from his minor league career. But those are the two signings the Brewers bring in today. Nothing that's going to be earth-shattering or whatever. But you always kind of like to see why they're doing it. Now, this could be a favor to an agent, whatever the case may be of why these bringing these guys into spring training. It's a 1-year deal.
Yes. Favorite agents?
All the time. It really happens in Summer League. Okay. In the NBA Summer League, that's how half these rosters are built. You have these GMs doing favors to agents that represent some of their other players on their team. All right, man, cool. He can come around with us. That's fine. I'll take him. Right. And Summer League is everything in the NBA. I don't know if y'all know this, but NBA Summer League is important for NBA teams to a degree, but it's really not about that. It's about the Euro basketball leagues and the international basketball leagues. That's where they come in and scout these guys that they know probably, most of them probably are going to be at the end of the bench or not going to be on teams. And then they have to figure out who do we want to sign to bring with us so they don't go to the G League or whatever. That's why all of these guys want their kids somehow, some way playing summer league basketball. Even if they don't play in games, even if they're just practicing, because you got all these guys rolling in. I'm telling you, I've said this before, bucket list wise, if you're an NBA or a basketball fan, it is the best thing ever, NBA Summer League. It's awesome because you have 2 gyms that are connected by like a bar in the middle of them. You pay for an all-day pass or whatever, and you literally can just walk back and forth and watch games going on all day long. And when you're sitting in the seats, you've got scouts, GMs, everybody sitting around you. Everybody sits
Probably
like
some
together.
Star players walking around.
You've got players that aren't playing, that are playing coming up or are done playing. They just plop down and sit down next to you and talk. You're over here a lot of stuff when you're sitting in the stands at these things. You meet a lot of people. And then at night you go out, a lot of these guys are out playing craps and doing whatever. I mean, it is awesome to go to NBA Summer League in Vegas.
All right, I'm gonna have to get out there.
Yeah,
that's gonna be on you guys.
It is. It's gonna be on us. We're gonna have to pay for it, are we?
I think so.
Yeah,
we can figure it out.
Yeah,
We can work
okay,
it
fine.
out.
Hey, I saw a thing on DNVR Broncos. So they're like the CHGO podcast that they do in Chicago for all their teams. DNVR, I believe it's the same company.
I would think so.
I'm pretty sure
Be
it's
a
the
little
same.
bit coincidental.
Yeah, I'm
they
pretty
had
sure
names
it's.
like that,
I'm pretty sure it's the same company. They put out a poll question. 468 votes. Who's the better team? The Broncos, 88% of the vote. Again, now this is in Denver.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. They're in Denver right now. So it makes sense that they would get it. I don't think that if you did that poll nationally, that it would be 88%. I wonder if you did that poll nationally, like if ESPN put out that poll question on social media, I bet you the Packers would win, and I bet you it would be within 5 percentage points.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be more than that.
You think so?
I don't think people really truly believe in Bo Nix. I think I see a lot of people that make jokes about him online outside of Denver Broncos fans. And because of that, I think a lot of people would just lean more towards the Packers. Not that a lot of people believe in Jordan Love either on the other sideline of this situation. But I think they just see kind of the highlight plays that the Packers have had against teams more recently, like the Bears, like the Lions. I think those are situations where people will have that recency bias and put that over the Broncos, who are led by a guy that nobody really wants to believe in at this point, despite him playing well.
Here's Sean Payton, provided by DNVR as well on social media, talking about being a home underdog, a 10-game winning streak. You're a home dog to the Green Bay Packers.
I don't really pay attention to that until, look, we know we're playing a good football team. And so that's something that we have no control over. We've got 4 tough opponents the next 4 weeks. 3 of the 4 of them are at home. We're counting on our crowd this week, not just at the line of scrimmage, but while they're in the huddle. I go back to a few weeks ago, and that communication that exists from the opponent when they're in the huddle, you'd be surprised when some teams' stadiums have it figured out. The quarterback to the group in the huddle, if that at all gets blurry, you have problems. And I thought our last home game with Kansas City was significant, and I'm counting on it being even at a higher level. So, we're playing a good team.
Okay. So he brought up something that I've not heard before. And I don't think the people that do the Jumbotron and run the sound system and in-game, I don't think have you ever seen them like pumping up the crowd when they're in the huddle? I've never seen that. Normally they pump up the crowd once they're walking up to the line of scrimmage to get everybody loud. I've never heard a coach say that it's even more concerning when it gets super loud and guys are trying to listen in the huddle to what's being called.
Yeah, I can't think of off the top of my head now. I've only ever been to 2 NFL games in my lifetime, so both.
Yeah, but you watch on TV.
Yeah, but they don't usually show the Jumbotron all that often on TV, so you don't see that and how they're doing the in-game kind of entertainment that's going on. But in those 2 games, no, I think majority of it was during the drive, during a play, or right before a play, not while they were in the huddle. Might be some kind of unwritten rule between the teams. Maybe they're like, all right, we give you that at least.
Yeah, I like the idea that he's saying. I've never heard any coach ever talk about that being an issue when they're in the huddle.
Sean Payton would be the guy that go beyond unwritten rules. We've seen that before.
He was in a dome in New Orleans. He knew exactly what he was doing with crowd noise. All right, let's get to that Prize Picks lineup. Again, download Prize Picks today. Use the code SPARKY to get $50 after you make your first $5 lineup on PrizePick. Again, that's code Sparky, SPARKY. Here's my lineup tonight. Baker Mayfield going up against the Falcons, more than 219.5 yards.
Love it.
Bucky Irving, who's been averaging like 16 and a half fantasy points, more than 20.5 yards receiving.
I don't love that one.
You don't like that one? Okay. And then the third one, Shedeur Sanders going up against Chicago, more than 186.5 yards passing.
I like that one.
Those are the three.
I think he's going to throw a lot of picks against Chicago, but I think that means he's going to throw the ball even more.
You know what I think? I think he's going to run more in this game than he's ran in any game so far this year. That's what I think.
All right. I like that. Why didn't you put that in the lineup?
I didn't look at the rushing numbers for Shedeur when I was doing it. I did this afternoon before we started the show. And I wanted some piece of Shedeur in that game against Chicago to give me even more rooting interest in that game going into it. I'm rooting against Chicago. I really wanted to have another rooting interest in it. He is Charlie Hughes, and I'm Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Thanks for listening. Coming up next, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz. Tomorrow, a Football Friday. Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press Gazette will join us tomorrow. We'll have Fantasy Football Friday with Joe Bartel. Follow the money with Austin Herdenia from the Potawatomi Sportsbook, all tomorrow from 2 to 5. Enjoy the rest of your night. It's been Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Enjoy your night, Wisconsin. Toodles!